Okay, yeah, I'm on a Spider-Man fix right now, okay? Let's just admit this at the beginning and move on. At least it's a different game. Normally, I'm the type of character who goes for the most violent manners possible. We all know this already. But ever since the Spider-Man 1 Life challenge, I realized that video had a lot of punching, concussions, knockouts. At one point, I just threw a dude off a building. It was a time. Now I feel the need to balance it out and do the game's successor completely the opposite, as a pacifist. Let's give it a go. So what exactly do I mean by as a pacifist? It's rather menial. At any point throughout my time in the fantasy world of Manhattan, New York, I am not allowed to punch anybody. I am not allowed to use venom attacks. I can't use any method to incapacitate the common cheapskate roaming the streets. My options are strictly limited to webbing some fools to walls. There's no violence incited on my part, and I'm giving everybody out there some hugs courtesy of my sticky substances. Aren't I a good person? It gets a bit more difficult with bosses like Rhino running around. You try to web down a 700-pound tank of pure muscle to any surface and tell me how that goes. It's common sense that that sort of thing does not work whatsoever, and we will be excluding said boss fights, because in any sort of fight like that, you're forced to move, do damage, use abilities, and I'd rather not hear anybody's bullshit about it in the comments. It's my video and I do what I want with it. These challenges are for your entertainment and my own misery. We established this like 15 videos and 10,000 subs ago. Other equipment like hollow drones, remote mines, and gravity wells are forbidden to be used as well. Because I'm a masochist and love torturing myself, I set the difficulty to ultimate. Yes, we have ultimate difficulty this time, but I did so on New Game Plus, purely so I could have as much web fluid stored up as humanly possible, and so I don't have to start with those abysmal suits known as the Spider-Man on Halloween suit and Spider-Man Light suit. Meeting up with the video game protagonist as the other video game protagonist felt like a full circle moment, but that was ruined when the guest of honor inside the giant metal crate wanted out of his cage. Miles apparently likes blowing shit up as he webbed himself to a helicopter rotor and brought the entire package down. Some inmates escaped thanks to Rhino's rampage through the streets, and I was forced to begin webbing everything that moved to walls. It was a bit convoluted at first. I had to let everybody take a swing at me, dodge it, and then button mash R1 until my sticky substances were all over their bodies. Patience was the key here, and luckily for me, because the setting is in one of the busiest areas of New York, walls are everywhere. Rhino's royal rampage took the Spider Bros throughout the majority of Midtown and even through J. Jonah Jameson's studio, him calling us a feckless, treacherous, unhinged menace. Add that to the list of names Peter has accumulated over the years. While Rhino was busy enjoying his time blowing shit up, I was forced to web more rocks for brains to walls, this time equipped with rocket launchers. I will never get over the fact that a prison was equipped with rocket launchers. Somehow I managed, though now I'm sort of glad I didn't attempt the One Life challenge on Ultimate because the damage output some of these guys have is ridiculous. What is it with Peter getting launched through walls at the very beginning of the game? First by Fisk's hand, and now Rhino. They should continue this trope in Spider-Man 2 somehow. Insomniac, if you happen to catch this video, please, I beg of you, make it happen. Trust me when I say I tried unleashing my sticky substances upon the man-beast. That was the very first thing I did. But again, look at this behemoth compared to 17-year-old Miles Morales. It's just not gonna fly, and it makes me very sad because of it. I may believe violence in video games is unjustifiable. That is the biggest lie I've ever told. But who else is gonna convince the leader of the Rhinoceros Appreciation Society to go home and eat cookies and milk for this coming Christmas? And yes, I meant eat some milk. All he deserves is chunky mush after not sticking to walls. Simon Krieger looks like a man who should be incarcerated for possessing naughty illegal things that I'm probably not allowed to say on this platform. With Alexi Beat, I have to be reminded of what they did to Peter's face. I know it's beating a dead horse at this point, but I will never forgive Insomniac for doing my man dirty. With Peter finally using up all of the accumulated vacation time, he attempted to pawn off his first spider suit to me as a Christmas gift. I felt bad for turning it down. That is the second biggest lie I've ever told, and went off to find the second half of my quote-unquote present. This is where it gets a bit gray. Peter set up some combat sequences using hollow drones. I initially forgot this happened and wasn't entirely sure what to do, seeing as though violence against holograms isn't really violence. Of course, I tried webbing them up, but this is essentially a tutorial for people who don't know how to press buttons on a controller, and the webs didn't work. In the end, I decided that as long as what I'm fighting wasn't technically breathing or had a heartbeat, then it was fair game to bash. It's combat training at the end of the day. Of course, some real guys showed up and mixed with the holodrone, so now I'm just paranoid that all of this is nothing but a dream. My brain was mush by this point, so the agenda now is to swing around and perform reckless acts of violence, is what I would say if this wasn't a pacifist video. Roxxon headquarters was just down the street from my house and seemed like a better place than most to go searching through browser histories. I guess I was beat to the punch though, as some no-name inbreds with RGB guns and power armor scraps were looking to perform meaningless shows of brutality. I secretly envy all of them. It was during this test of strength versus Peacemaker that I remembered that webbing all of these dullards to walls wasn't the only option. Jumping and then swinging them up to my level, followed by webbing them up once they go to bed, incites no violence on my part. I like to think of this as simply a roller coaster ride without a minimum height requirement. The ride itself is lame, and probably reminds a few of these halfwits too much of some kinky shit done in the bedroom. But I got prerequisites to meet, so fuck them. Not literally, that ain't my thing. I did some pacifist things at my new house in a building. One time I asked my friend if all New Yorkers lived in buildings, and judging by his quick exit from my Discord call, I'm willing to bet he went and contemplated life. The Unk of Spider-Man number 2 requested assistance involving moving a train. Where there is issues, there is more combat to be avoided, and lessons to be taught in natural acrobatics. Whether or not you consider perch takedowns to be of a pacifist mindset is a subjective manner. I'm not using the offensive takedown, but rather the one where you just web them to walls like normal. I plead my case as this is the pacifist way to go about handling bad guys. Bullets aren't flying, nobody is needlessly throwing fisticuffs, and I'm not wreaking havoc against other people's property. But hey, what do I know? I insult myself on a daily basis. My sane state of mind went out the window a long time ago. The trains were fixed, they had a mind of their own, how else did they go back into the tunnel? And a game of cops versus robbers was ensuing down the street from my house in a building. It's safe to say that this entire debacle involving guns, warfare in the streets, and bombs just casually lying around is only helping my aforementioned case. While attending my mommy's political rally, I managed to get on the TV. Kinda anyway. My face was blocked. Oh, and the Underground Fallout Club decided that this moment was the best time to pick a fight with the men in red. Yep, this is common sense. Attack at the rally campaigning against the corporation you oh so despise. They hurt the mom of Spider-Man, and there would be hell to pay. This would have worked as an amazing distraction if not for the fact that the underneath purple fools used a Fat Man launcher on a bridge. Crawl out through the fallout, baby. I wouldn't be a video game protagonist if I didn't cause some kind of chaos throughout the game. I blew up a truck carrying highly unstable substances that are capable of essentially nuking a good chunk of the city. Here's a little wisdom for you. When combustible things blow up, other gets destroyed. I hope you enjoyed Deelwheels' words of wisdom. Oh, and my former best friend was under the alias The Tinkerer. It's her fault the truck blew up since she kicked me inside of the truck. Peter goes away for like 2 days at this point, and already a bridge is blown to hell. I guess it's a good thing I like blowing shit up, but it was an indirect cause this time, not by my own choice. Miles had some kick-ass saves throughout it all, before the Pop Rocks themselves appeared in their bum-ass red and beige uniforms, threatening the lives of everyone I just saved, but less importantly, me. The discovery of the invisibility was awesome during the main run. In New Game Plus, however, it was just kind of awkward. The same with the developing of the classic suit when I was already wearing a suit titled Advanced Tech. The cat from the video game Stray made a cameo appearance here, and it was my job to make sure he found his way back home. Oh, and we gotta stop some thugs from conducting a future bank heist. Whatever, that isn't important. What is important is saving the cat. Hey, I deal with 1,000 criminals on a daily basis. It ain't often I get to save a cat. Something about seeing a dude that big cuddling a cat is almost heartwarming in its own weird way, if not for the fact that, you know, he's trying to actively mutilate me. This selfie says more about how this fight went down than I ever could. God, I love photo mode. The man got his cat back. I petted the cat numerous times until I couldn't no more. If you did not pet the cat until the game wouldn't let you no more, are you even a human being? The answer is no. Because our former best friend was the Tinkerer, a la the worst criminal in the city, if the blown up bridge is anything to go by, it was inevitable to conduct a raid on her secret hideout. We inhaled some dust, touched her things, browsed her private videos, usual Spider-Man business. And for the cherry on top, another combat sequence that's just starting to annoy me at this point. One of the videos indicated a phone at a specific location, and we were at said location much faster than it takes for me to upload a video on this platform. Infiltrating the Rock's movie studio proved to be a lot easier with an ally watching my back. To the surprise of literally nobody on God's green earth, Unc Aaron Davis revealed himself to be the Prowler, whom then I forced to help me find that phone. While the fighting is going on, I should mention that that phone I'm looking for had some blackmail material against me on it, and I'm sorry, but a lad's gotta do what a lad's gotta do. Turns out I was correct. If Simon Kruger's actions against his employees are anything to go by, then his search history must have some real juicy shit. Please do not ask about my special interest in search histories. It's one of life's greatest anomalies. The phone was procured, some horrible things were shown that I have to blur the gameplay here for, and I absorbed a giant generator because I need to increase my power level beyond 9,000. My former best friend invited me to her Pilates class inside Fisk Tower, though nobody delivered the memo that 1, I had to wear purple, and 2, there would be needless violence everywhere inside. I will be the first to say that violence is very, very fun, especially when I'm the one causing it, but I found out very quickly that it's not so much fun on the receiving end. Guns suck, but this is America, so it's ingrained in our culture. Granted, America sucks as well, and it's going to hell anyway, but the violence in this segment in particular, mwah, chef's kiss. Really proud of them. Just annoyed. It was give or take about 40 minutes of total non-stop action against the underground in various places up until it led to the inside of a theater. Former best tinkerer, my ex-friend who's not an ex-girlfriend, Finn, wants to blow up the plaza of the most corrupt organization on that street of New York City. Clearly she likes blowing shit up too. First the bridge and now Roxxon. I'd be proud if not for the fact that the insurance those guys have would inevitably grant them a much better building in the end. It's a nice thought though, I guess. I would have gotten out of here unscathed if not for the fact that these juggernauts with shields decided it was their turn to hit the piñata, a la me. Regardless of how many times I threw webs their way, they would just not stick to any walls, or the floor for that matter. Just because you're big does not mean you're invulnerable to webbing. Whatever. Regardless of context and circumstances, I'm fairly certain Triple J hammered into Spider-Man about how he left half the city destroyed in an attempt to stop the megalomaniac carrying the new form. It's Spider-Man's fault that millions in property damage was caused, and giant death wheels most likely slaughtered a few of the civilian population below. And what do I get in the end? 3 cracked ribs and a revealed identity. L. Miles, being the righteous bastard he is, desired to make amends with Finn and hash things out on a tower. Being the video game protagonist, though, entitles things never going our way without bending over backwards to clean up other people's messes. As the Prowler, Miles' Unc, in case you forgot, outed us to Roxxon, and they sent the upgraded Rhino to kidnap us. Remember when I said that Simon Krieger looked like a man who possesses naughty illegal things? Yeah, I was right in that regard. That face should be illegal. Getting beat up by security is not one of my prouder moments, and it only solidifies the fact that failing this challenge was not my fault, but rather the game's fault for making me play a certain way. Why fight when we can use words, webs, wires, water, whatever else? Who says throwing fisticuffs is the only manageable solution? For a place with a self-proclaimed title of most secure facility, it's quite sad how fast I was able to dispose of the garbage walking around and lift the lockdown attempting to keep us inside. The best part of this entire infiltration was Rhino calling my venom power quote-unquote zappy pops. I am forever calling these abilities zappy pops, and there isn't anything anyone can do to stop me. We all know how the last Rhino fight went. He is not a normal human being, nor is he only 7'5". I call bullshit on that. If Miles is 5'8", then Rhino over there is towering well over 9 feet tall, judging by in-game models. And because Miles is a decent human being whose morals are probably too high for someone like Rhino, he prevents Finn from adding another coffin to the graveyard she's already left behind. I have to pay for video games. I have to pay for the console to play them on, which means I paid some of my hard-earned money to be treated like absolute dog shit by an even worse human being. This interaction reminds me too much of Twitter. Mommy found out my biggest secret, and I'm not talking about being Spider-Man. I'm talking about something much more personal, and all you degenerates about to comment asking what it is can hit Control-A and backspace. You ain't getting that information. While my man in the chair was busy finding my ex-friend who just so happened to be a girl but not a girlfriend, I kept myself busy and helped reopen Feast North. It required me to throw my sticky substances at some thugs, turn some valves, and dump garbage into the surrounding Hudson River. Miles has to live up to his father Chad Davis after all. His uncle, however, is proving to be a real buzzkill. For Unc Aaron's birthday, I'm buying him a World's Worst Uncle coffee mug. Hell, I'll even include a participation trophy with the same moniker in his attempt to try and force his false beliefs into my life. My guy, you forced me to fight you, and you think you're doing me the favor? Nah, mate, that ain't gonna fly. If we're comparing personalities here, Jefferson Davis is the Chad Master Chief, while Aaron over there is the non-virgin John Halo. I'm still not over that show. Prowler ain't Chad Davis, and he never will be, because this game has done everything in its power to make Aaron feel special. He's got the cool mask, he's got the gadgets, the laser beams, the connections. You know what they did to make Jeff Davis feel special? They let him do his job. Uncle Aaron couldn't walk 10 feet in the shoes of Jefferson Davis. Let's just say that when it comes to personal matters such as this one, you sometimes can't help yourself. So in the span of about a year, give or take, Miles managed to lose his father, his female best friend, and his uncle. You want to talk about dysfunctional relationships? This is it. With the world's worst uncle taking a nice nap in some abandoned subway station somewhere, it was time to convince the Tinkerer that therapy is still a viable option. Hell, I could probably use some therapy as well. It wouldn't hurt, but what I need was never important. What is important is making sure everyone here has a nice new home. These fools are everywhere, and I wish I could just send them to the great big spider web in the sky. You best believe that when I finished all my recordings for this challenge, I went and threw a lot of people off of buildings. That sounds horrible out of context. There's probably enough random one-liners that I said in these challenges that could be used against me in a court of law, and somehow I'd be found guilty of something. With the miniature army outside stripped of their dignity and rights, it was time to head inside the Science Center. Some storied things happened. I proved my superiority in button mashing against my ex, the video game protagonist had a cameo inside of a flashback, and it was all ruined since illusions are shattered by reality. I wish I could wholeheartedly say that I've seen the last of the Pop Rocks and Fellas in Purple, but that's as much of a lie as saying that Peter and Miles have both sets of parents readily available for guidance. This game has really decided to bring out its Captain America Civil War vibes. They even got their superpowered megalomaniacs on each side and everything. And just like Civil War, Spider-Man is on the correct side. Team Iron Man was in the right in that movie, and I will die on that hill. I can't even lie to you all, my primal instincts were taking over in this fight. I never once landed a punch on anybody. I honor that all the way to the end, but I may have given in and thrown some fools off of buildings. That was therapeutic. They're fine, they just get webbed to walls, but I probably should have started doing that a long time ago to satiate my urges. The final fight with the Tinkerer was here, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. No, this boss fight does in fact require you to throw fisticuffs at your ex-girlfriend. I mean, your former best friend. Although when you consider the fact that she practically has power armor arms repeatedly hitting you in the face, a rocket launcher because why not, and the aforementioned giant death wheels, not to mention the game being a buggy mess and freezing me in place when attempting to do some kind of action that I don't really remember the button sequence for, I think it's safe to say that all of this is self-defense and nothing more. The fight never really ended. We both could have kept going probably 20 more minutes, but the game budget was running out, so things had to be cleared quick. I absorbed the energy from this nuclear reactor like I absorbed Cinnamon Toast Crunch on a Monday morning, blew up my ex hundreds of feet in the air, and I did not beat Spider-Man Miles Morales as a pacifist. Let it be known that this f***ing news reporter right here neglected to cover the fact that the city was almost destroyed, Roxxon headquarters was blown to smithereens, the streets were essentially ripped in half, a miniature nuke exploded in the sky, and a kid fell well over 500 feet down and lived. Also, she can ask him, "Did you see his face?" Unbelievable. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving it a like, or if you hated it, leave it a dislike. And if you haven't already and you like what you see on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Helps me out a ton. Shout outs to all my Patreon supporters for making videos like this one possible. Have a good one. Peace out.